new heavy hitters in Hollywood, and how that's going to affect the creative life of writers and filmmakers going forward?
Well, I mean, as a seller, it's exciting because you go, there's so many places we can sell stuff now. Just as a casual observer of the industry, I get a little overwhelmed of thinking like, God, there's just too many, because there's so many things fighting for people's monthly subscription, money. That I think things are going to have to combine, because people just aren't. I find sometimes I've got every month the thing from Apple comes. I thought, oh my God, look at all the things I'm subscribing to that I don't use. And occasionally I'll just purge them all out. So I think people need to be aware of that. But I don't know. Anything that gets things out there. My philosophy is always just get it made. You've got something. Once it exists, it exists. If it doesn't exist, nobody can see it. But it's like with this show I was talking about, Other Space, which is one of my favorite things I've ever done. We did it for Yahoo Screen. They gave us a really good budget on it. We made it, but then they just didn't promote it at all. They didn't know how to promote it. They just promoted it through Yahoo. It didn't. Nobody saw it. But it exists now, and it's there, and it's on the internet. People can enjoy it, and people are fans of it and call me up, and there's a chance that it could come back because it's there. So, but that's why I always say to like new filmmakers. Look at this thing right here. You can shoot a movie on this. It's going to look great. You can edit it on the editing software that came with your laptop. And if you have a great enough story, even if it doesn't look great, it's going to get you something, because that's your calling card. That's your voice. If you sit around kind of like trying to get the big professional thing, your chances are you're not going to get your voice. Versus, we look at shorts and stuff like that all the time. People in my company just scour the internet looking for that stuff. And you see something like, holy shit, like that looks terrible, but that's really funny, or that storytelling is really good. That's what you want. So it's really, there's kind of no excuse to not get your stories told. The only advice I always tell people is just make sure it's good when you do it before you put it out there. Don't be in such a rush, like I made it, it's great. Like test it with your friends, make sure, get impartial audiences. Gather people off the street and show it to them, just to make sure. Because you have to be hard on your work, because we're living in such a meritocracy in the creative world now because of the internet. You can't, gone are the days when somebody could open a movie with a great trailer and a shitty movie. Now the first showing, word goes out and you're dead. So you really got a quality control. And that's the scripts. It's all about the scripts. It's all about the writing. Everything else falls in from there.
You mentioned something about your company. Everyone looks good, but plays tough in the best way. And this obviously is a big part of your personal brand, and you had the partnership with J. Crew. When did you sort of arrive at that, of kind of having this be part of your brand? You dress in a suit on set every day, as far as I know. And how do your teams react to that?
Well, it's funny. When I was a kid and a teenager, I always wore a suit. I loved suits, and it was kind of a disco era, so I loved that. And then in my 20s, when I was a stand-up comedian, I slowly became more jeans and flannel shirts and all that kind of thing. But then it was after we did Freaks and Geeks, I was very kind of reconnecting with my high school years, which weirdly, I was always in a suit in my high school years, but somehow I made myself become like a freak. I would wear shorts and, shorts, God, nobody wants to see that. Jeans and a t-shirt on the set, and I grew my hair long again. It was ridiculous. You'll see pictures behind the scenes. But after that was done, and I kind of gotten that high school teenage thing out of my system, I would go to meetings because Freaks and Geeks was well thought of. And I'd be in these meetings, and all the executives would be in suits and ties, and I'm sitting on the couch, and they always put